Hello, this is Anyssa from www.communicationstudio.ca, and today I'm going to do a brief introduction to some strategic marketing. So this is a PowerPoint put together by Infusionsoft.me, and it is really focused on how you can look at your perfect customer life cycle and use that plan actually as a weapon, because most people can bring all of their leads in, but over time in their business they don't actually take full advantage of all the things that you can do and all the ways to stay in contact with the customer right through to getting a referral from them and bringing in new leads. So here we go. So in the past it seems a little bit too simple, but marketing and sales was mostly you were going out and making sure that you put the product right in front of people's face. You wouldn't get any sales and you wouldn't get any feedback because you didn't really know much about your customers. You basically would be going either door to door, or you would be putting it in front of them on a shelf, but you would generally didn't get a lot of information back about who was buying, what they were doing, who they were telling about it. There weren't a lot of systems or ways to track or follow up with people. Now we have coupons and things like that people register online, so there is a lot more information, but at the time before there really wasn't much. The packaging was expensive. There was most of the stuff that we were selling was a physical package, so there was also more expense to the product. So all in all, your marketing had to be pretty smart because you had a lot of things wrapped into the cost of that package. So there's our sales guy. He's got his product. He's put it in front. And basically, even though it was a lot more costly, it was a lot easier. It was very straightforward. You just had a few options on how to get your product in front of people and make some money. But even though I know this picture here says it was easier to see the big picture and connect marketing tactics to business growth, what I'm going to show you is how you can actually see it even better. Because before it was you sell something, you bring money in, you would do certain things, and it was still very, very basic. So there's good news now. So now we have a lot more avenues to sell our products on. We get a lot more information back about our clients, about how or our people who are purchasing. We learn a lot more about their different habits, who they're connected to, which is really great news. The problem with that, especially if you're a small business owner or if you're an entrepreneur, is you're getting too much information in a lot of ways. And you have to really do a lot of research to find out what avenue is going to work best for you, because not everyone is going to have customers that use Twitter. Not everyone has customers that use Facebook. But they might use one niche little product. Maybe they're all bloggers. I don't know. I can't really think of an example right now. But there might be one key tool. Maybe they're all on Flickr that you can find and really focus in, like business people on LinkedIn, for example. So even though you might pick one perfect tool that you've been told is going to be your perfect marketing strategy, it doesn't always work. We've seen lots of, failures in the marketing world from, there's certain kinds of Coke and Pepsi that had complete flops. No matter how much research you do, sometimes it's not the right tool. But if you can get more information about your clients and stuff, there is ways to eliminate some of the risks. So we're going to look at a typical customer life cycle. So hopefully you haven't had any of the big flops. Hopefully you have a ton of customers to get into what we call our lead funnel here. A lot of us go out to tons of networking events these days. We go and we get tons of business cards, we put them on our desk, and we promptly forget about them. So quite often, all that interest that we generated by taking all that time and that investment to get those new leads in, even though at that time when you meet them, they can go from a lead to a prospect, but if you haven't taken time to take that hot lead and make them into a customer before you go to your next networking group, well, you know what? You've wasted your time. So what we want to do is, like this picture here says, we want to take the leads, make them into prospects, and get them into being customers, and quickly get that action going again and starting over. And that is your typical customer life cycle, and how it should go, and how it used to go. And then we make a sigh. I like the number 4, sigh of relief, start over. That's how it should be if we plan everything correctly. So if we go with that model, how do we get more people into the lead funnel? We can double the money that we're spending on our advertising. We can double our sales staff. So basically, either way, we're putting out a lot more money, spending it more wisely. How the money we're spending is going to bring more people into that lead funnel. But that is the typical thing, is you put out more ads, you buy more, to get more customers, you're spending more money. That has been the typical way. So what happens quite often now is you end up with leaks. People fall out of the, you might get them to where you're going to make leads, but you lose interest, you don't follow up with them, you don't get back to people that may have urgent questions because you're at home, you're an entrepreneur, and you just don't have time to follow up with everyone. Maybe at that time, that customer isn't the perfect prospect. Maybe at the time they're not working. Maybe at the time that you meet them, they don't have a need for your product. And so they go into the funnel and they become a lost lead because at that time they're not a current customer. You don't have a need that you can fill for them. So then they become down here and you end up losing them as a customer because they never even became a prospect or a lead. So those are some of the things that we can focus on to try not to lose customers, because there are lots of holes in our buckets when we don't follow up with people. As well, we have a lot of people now from all sorts of amazing places that can purchase our product. The world is becoming smaller, and so kind of like this crazy map. If everybody wants to get to one place, it can be a challenge. We need a roadmap, we need a plan, and we need to know what our perfect idea of our perfect customer is. So if we have the tools and we have the tactics, but we don't have a strategy, what's going to happen with that beautiful little sales funnel is it's not going to be organized. It's not going to be repeated by our salespeople. We're going to have our investment into the salespeople, into our advertising, really end up in chaos. And as well, like those people that get that 15 minutes of fame and don't have a strategy. So maybe you wrote a book and then all of a sudden you get called to be on Oprah, or you do a great big sales launch and you have so many people interested, but you don't get them into the top of the funnel. You don't record their name, their phone number. You don't have a way to streamline, and you don't have a strategy to deal with success. You end up with chaos. So, like in a chess game, be clear about your plan. Make every move that you do count. Sometimes it's worth slowing down and looking at what might make you a success when all those leads do come in, and how you can handle it. Have a strategy. So this is what we call the framework for a perfect customer life cycle. So like I was talking about at the beginning, you might go to networking meetings, you might have a website, you might have advertising, you might have phone leads coming in from the yellow pages. So you've attracted the traffic, you're going to capture it, then you're going to find ways to nurture those prospects. You're going to convert those into sales. Voila, you have a satisfied customer. And now what are you going to do? How are you going to stay in contact with the customer? Maybe you've got a widget that all of a sudden you've got an upgrade to. How are you going to upsell them to that upgrade? You've already qualified them as a customer. So what have you done to stay in contact with them so that you can make sure that your customer is being sold the product that you've got them, and when you have something new to sell them because they've already said, I like your product, what have you done to put them in the position that you can sell to them again? And lastly, your best customer is one that already has a referral from someone that loves you, someone that you already did a great job for. You didn't have to hire a salesman, you didn't have to get them to your website. They already had someone over coffee going, I love this yellow widget. You should go buy it. And they've done their work for you. Are you prepared? Have you mapped out your plan? Have you specifically gone and looked at how you're bringing people in, how you're capturing leads, how you can maximize the use of a plan to nurture your prospects over a long period of time? Because we know that sometimes it takes up to 10 times for someone to see you and 10 different kinds of experiences to trust buying your product, especially if it's a bigger packaged product. If it's a great big, like Lisa Sasevich sells great big huge conferences, but she also will get in contact with you through emails and webinars. And Fabienne Fredrickson, I watched her Friday video. It's just a little tiny clip. She's got it converted into text, so if you don't have time to watch the video, you can read the text. The text is doing her SEO on Google for her, so it's a real win-win when she's taking time to nurture her prospects before they come out to her great big mastermind session. And then she can convert them to even more sales once she's got out. And they're already in her pipeline. They've already said, I love your product. I love who you are. I want to know more about you. So once you've satisfied them, what is your plan to upsell that customer, to give them the opportunity as well to refer you through social media? Have you provided those customers that you've worked so hard to nurture all the way along this pipeline to refer you? Because that is a gold mine right there. Traffic attraction strategies. So here are some that many people use, and especially if you have a whole marketing plan, not just a social media marketing plan, because there are some other things that I would add in here. This one is a little bit specific to getting SEO to a website, which is search engine optimization. PPC, if you don't know, means pay-per-click, and that's your online marketing tools. But there's some things that you can still do offline. Mind you, I think they're still delivered online, like a press release. If you're at events, you've got your hard copies of things. You've got business cards with capture scanning things, and there's all sorts of stuff that you can use to attract traffic. So you've got blog posts, which if you don't know what a blog post is, take time to read up on it. Look at ones that you see are successful. Technically right now, it is 2012. What they say is having absolute minimum 4 posts a month, maybe 6 is probably more optimal. If you're not sure what to blog about, a friend of mine, Owen Clark, one of the best little seminars I ever did, he says, just think of 10 questions that your customer might ask you about your product. What are 10 questions? Well, you've got 10 blog posts that you can do. That could be 10 chapters in a book. It could be 10 webinars. It could be 10 anything. Just those 10 questions that your customers might ask you. So if you're stumped on what to blog about, there's a great idea, because then you go and break it down into videos and emails and all sorts of stuff. Social media, that's a really big topic to cover. You need to find one, get really good at it, and then branch out from there. And same with your online marketing. Don't waste money on pay-per-click and stuff like that until you know what you're doing, or get someone else to do it, because there is key strategies to use, like Bosco Anthony or Matt Astafan from Web Friendly. They have spent lots of time looking at strategies, and you're better off spending a little money on their courses than trying to figure it out yourself and wasting a ton of money. So many people have done that. And one of the key strategies as well is going to be finding great referral partners. And joint ventures can be an amazing tool in any business, because also you've got more than just your own interests at heart. And we all know that when we help others, we all win. So we're going to go on to capturing leads as well. So what is your strategy to build a mailing list? So if you don't have a list, who are you selling to? So that's one of the challenges. I just talked to someone else last week who's like, I've got a great idea for a website. I'm going to sell this. I've got to sell that. I've been working on it for ages. And he's like, I'd like to joint venture with you because I know you have this great domain and it really relates. And I said, well, how big's your list? And there was silence. And it's like, if you don't have a list, it's hard to value anything online or even in a business. I started a campground and got the owners to purchase a customer referral program, so we would be able to follow up with our customers, our campers, the next year, and started building a list. And they did not understand the value of that list, that those are customers that once they keep coming back and you can take care of them and know who they brought last year. You can make notes, for example, in a CRM that that they just had a baby that year. So maybe, it was really cool after 2 years seeing these kids that were just born, growing up and starting to run around. One of the best jobs ever. But I could make notes as part of my strategy about the people that were visiting me. It was great. A CRM is an amazing tool, which is something that Infusionsoft is. So, and also, what you need to do is have reasons for them to leave their name and email and phone number with you. For example, our campers left their name and email with me because I said, we might have a booking special in April. If you're coming in June, make sure you're on our newsletter. They made sure that they read our newsletter because they wanted to know that if there was a buy one night, get two free for a long weekend, they wanted to be in on that because that would be it was a pretty high-end campground, so it was a significant savings and close to a lot of families and stuff. So we had grandma and grandpas that would come out for the weekend and go get their kids, grandkids, and bring them out to the pool and stuff and play. Same with, we would joint venture with the radio station. They would actually offer coupons to their listeners, because then their listeners felt like they were getting more value out of listening to that station as well. And we actually would have live events and things like that. And when we ticketed for the live events, we made sure we always got names and phone numbers and things like that. At a campground, we didn't do a webinar, but there were people in the camping industry that, for example, would teach how to back your RV up. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to back up an RV, but it is not an easy thing. I actually had to do it once when these German ladies who had just rented their RV were having quite the time because they were just so tired. I can't imagine. And especially live events, make sure if someone's already decided they've come out to see you at a live event, make sure you have captured their information. And same with the free trial. So now that you've got all those leads, you need to have a plan to capture, to nurture them. And some people are going to come in and there's going to be 10% of all those leads that'll probably instantly be your customer. Some of them aren't your customer right now. So how can you personalize communication with them so that they will stay with you, that they will get to know you? How can you consistently stay in contact with people? Most industries have cycles. So if you sold someone a house and you're in real estate or in a mortgage company situation, then you know that in 5 to 7 years, you should really be making sure, at absolute minimum of course, that you have recontacted that person for a really major sale, but you want to stay in contact with that person and check if their financial situation has changed, probably even yearly or more, and make sure that you are right selling them on all the products that you might have. So personalization is often the key, so keeping track of birthdays. I have a friend who owns a Benjamin Moore paint shop. She keeps all of the paint, Benjamin Moore Maple Ridge. Tammy there keeps all of the paint colors of her customers and the painters. So when she is also lucky enough to add an address, when that house turns over and the new owners quite often come in because it's not a really big town, she's able to say, oh yeah, we provided the paint for that. This is what it is. So if you'd like to repaint that or match it up with something else in the fan deck, I'm happy to do that, and I will then, in case you have any damage, I will record the colors for you. So awesome way to nurture your prospects is, even though they might not be a customer right now, is to just do anything that you can to make their life easier. And make sure that when you are contacting them, it's not about 50 million different things. Make sure that your message is relevant and it is useful, because you don't want them opting out of your nurturing strategy, which can happen quite quickly if you give too much information or start giving them irrelevant information. And some people are going to opt out just because they just have no interest to, and that's fine. The trick is that once you've maybe not sold to that first 10% that came into your lead funnel, how can you get another 30 or 40% when it is the right time, and make sure you're right selling them and converting that sale? And this is a great little graph that shows you some of the percentages of when a deal closes, and how many calls and how many times it takes to actually close some of the deals. Sometimes they're big deals, sometimes they're little ones. Most people give up after one call, or I've been to a lot of networking events where people have taken my card and they've just never called. So what I've done is kind of turned it around, and I quite often don't go to networking events with the business card, because then what I've done is I've taken full responsibility, because I can almost guarantee everyone else there pretty much has a business card. I take full responsibility for contacting the people that I know I am making a great connection with, and that it's not about necessarily doing business, but people that I can help them. How can I look at someone and see what they need and find out what their passions are? Maybe them connect. Maybe they're a car salesman, but their passion is mountain climbing. How can I connect them with a friend of mine, Christina, the mortgage diva, who goes out and she does hikes, and she wants to move into mountain climbing? And how can I get her to take care of them? Because maybe that's a mortgage client for Christina. Maybe she's got someone else in her group that is going to buy a car off this person. So you never know where the connections might lead, and out of that I get this warm fuzzy feeling, and someone who has then trusted me. And maybe they're not my client right now, but I've got someone who trusts me that will become a lead at some point when I need to sell them a product. So now it's easy. I've built trust. I have sold the product to people. I've stayed in contact, so when they're ready to buy, they're ready. So how can I make this one process easy? How can I automate the sales stage communications? And I'm going to hope that there won't be any objections. But how can you basically make a system out of the main focus of your business, which is sales? We are all in business to make money. Anyone who says it's not true, well, maybe they should go do something different. What we do with that money after we get it, there's another story. I live on the west coast of BC, Canada, and we work to play. We wear polo fleece, we live in our Lululemons, and we wear our hair in ponytails, and we can go snowboarding, and we can go windsurfing on the same day. So we work to play. I know there are probably some people that have moved out here from the East Coast, but we're working at influencing them. So how can you take this strategy so that you can get snowboarding quicker? How can you convert your sales quicker? How can you take that time that is going to be the longest time, which is attracting, capturing, nurturing your leads and your prospects, and then once they've made that decision to buy, how can you make that really easy? And how can you get to the next stage, which is deliver and satisfy as fast as possible? How can you wow that customer because you've got a slick strategy, and welcome them in as new clients and make it easy? Because a system should be easy. It shouldn't be complicated, and it's just something that you're going to repeat over and over again, rinse and repeat. And what you want to do also while you're doing that is always be looking at how it's working and making it smoother and slicker, and measure it, and measure the satisfaction of your clients, so that when you've got something new to sell them, or you want to sell them more of the same thing, you haven't lost contact with them. As well, you might joint venture or cross-sell them a different product. So, for example, Lululemon is a great example. They don't just sell yoga pants anymore. They sell retreats. They sell bags, they sell the Lululemon experience. So there's always something in there to cross-sell and a strategy to create a really, really strong relationship with their customers. So you can do that in this checkout stage as well. When you're going through Infusionsoft, it makes it really easy because it's almost intuitive to what that customer wants. And when you make that customer happy, then you have created your referral strategy. First of all, you have to give them the opportunity then to, sometimes you don't even have to ask for referrals now with social media. They just spew it everywhere. They call them sneezers in the marketing industry. Now, how can you track them? How can you compliment them? How can you basically partner with your customers so that they keep doing what they're doing because they love your product through testimonials, maybe through an affiliate program? All this stuff is included in Infusionsoft. So you can do social promotions, but quite often when you upsell your customers, when you deliver properly, when you've gone through this whole process and done it right, and you have a great strategy that is right selling your customer, when you're doing it from your heart and creating amazing relationships, even though you may never have met them, it can be done. They're going to give you referrals, and that referral is just a gold mine. Now, in Infusionsoft, here's a really good example of how you can actually look how you're generating. You can actually map it out, which is really cool. They don't have little pencil drawn things inside the actual program. They have maps. They have maps. So all of your programs will be mapped. They're all drag and drop. There's no getting out of creating the material, though. You still have to write that good email. You still need to look at having a great copywriter. You still need to know the key tools and how to lay out a great landing page. I've got one that I just did, even though I took Matt Astafan's social media director's course. It was a couple months ago. I didn't take the time to implement the material, so now I've got him kind of giving me some advice on how I should really be doing the right landing page, because he has studied and taken classes from experts, and he knows what is actually going to get conversion on those landing pages. So basically this slide here is an example of how you can map out that opportunity so that you get the little $sign at the end, which means you can go play sooner. So what you can do is you can actually download from infusionsoft.com/PCL, or you can email me at info@communicationstudio.ca, and I can send you one. And start writing down your key tactics. Look at your workflow of the entire life cycle of your customer, and look at where the holes are. Think of that last customer that, or I should say lead, because maybe they didn't become a customer. Who's that last person that somebody introduced you to, or that you met on the street, that you didn't get into your funnel and fell out of the leaky bucket? So then when you've got a plan, you're not getting bogged down because you've got it all identified. You've got a map with Infusionsoft, or in this case, you could just do it on a piece of paper if you're not ready for Infusionsoft yet. And you can start to pick the tools to accomplish your goals, because we all know that when you have a vision of what you want to get done, you're much more likely to achieve it. So here's a blank of the perfect customer life cycle. So if you don't want to email me or anything, you can sit and write down these notes. Go through this process. It's worth it. Most people, when I sit down and talk to them, they are stuck in the attract traffic phase. They've done a great job of attracting traffic, but then they haven't taken time to look at what the life cycle of that customer is so they can maximize those captured leads, and they don't have a plan. Usually there's like 20 different ways to attract a customer, but there's only a couple ways to actually capture those leads, few ways to nurture those prospects. There aren't if this person doesn't like to purchase this now, what is the plan? How am I going to take care of them in between? How am I going to stay in contact with them and convert them to sales when they're ready, when the customer is ready? Because I'm in business for the long run, and I plan on those people eventually becoming customers. and going through the rest of this as well. Going through your delivery. I mean, how can you make sure that you take time to do an amazing thank you and make sure that you stay in touch with those customers? I actually just ran into an Infusionsoft customer that no one contacted, or he changed emails and he didn't know that it now had a CRM part to it, not just an email package to it. So, and that it included the shopping cart, and it included the tracking for when someone comes on your website, and all the stuff that's included in Infusionsoft. I think he was going to have a coronary because I'm guessing, made a different choice and is going to come back and use Infusionsoft because it's so inclusive. It can really streamline things for his clients. He's a coach, so he's involved in a lot of different businesses, and it will help him get more referrals. So, if you want to get started with Infusionsoft, you can go to infusionsoft.me. You can also email me at info@communicationstudio.ca. My name is Anyssa, and that is all I've got for now on your perfect customer life cycle. Stay in touch with your customers. Take care.